Welcome back to ASBR Boxing. Delighted to be joined by Elliot Grigg as always, which means one thing and one thing only. We are in preview mode. Just the one fight we're looking at this weekend, and we are, of course, talking about the big fight in Las Vegas, Nevada, in the super lightweight division. Saturday, 6th of April, sees Richardson Hitchins go up against Gustavo Daniel Lemos, undefeated against undefeated, 17-0 against 29-0. Someone's O's got to go. Elliot, we'll come into all of that later and give our predictions on whose O may well go. But first and foremost, as we always like to do now, we'll go in with the tough questions, the questions that people want to know the answers to. Richardson Hitchins, quite a big name now in American boxing circles especially. But what I want you to tell me is, will he become world champion this year?
Oh, this year. Well, first of all, thank you very much for that eloquent and fluid introduction. I'm delighted as always to be joined by you. Um, this year, I mean, look, I'm impressed by Hitchins. He's a good fighter, obviously. Decent record, like you say, undefeated. Good win last time out against Jose de Peda. Again, not the most powerful of fighters, though. We're looking at 7 KOs in 17 victories. So for me, that's actually the key to this question. I think if he steps up against some of those champions as well, got Tio Lopez, obviously, you got Matthias Haney. Do I think he becomes world champion the next year? No, frankly, but that's not to say I don't think he'll become world champion. I think a lot depends on what happens with someone like Lopez, for example, as well. Like he's obviously quite erratic as well, how those belts may move in that division. But for me, not in 2024, Paul. No, not in 2024. I think it'd be a bit too soon. What about yourself? Do you agree or do you disagree?
Yeah, mate, I do actually agree with you. I think 2024 is maybe a stretch too far. It was maybe a bit of an unfair question to begin with. But yeah, when you just look at the depth of the 140-pound division, in my opinion, you've got obviously since moving up, you've got Devin Haney in there now, potentially fighting obviously Ryan Garcia in a few weeks if that fight still goes ahead. You got Teofimo Lopez, who is prone to a poor performance now and then when he's maybe expected to win, but when he's on it, you're not beating him. You got obviously Subriel Matthias, massive puncher, scary, scary individual. And we haven't seen much of him. And then obviously you and I have both said potentially the weakest champion in Rolly Romero, who obviously is fighting Isaac Cruz soon as well. So it depends on how that fight goes. But yeah, I don't think 2024 is the year he becomes world champion, Richardson Hitchins. Not beyond the realms of possibility, though, that maybe happens the following year, which kind of leads me into my next question, mate. It said first time, would it be 2024 if when he wins the world title? We both said no. Do you think he will ever lift the world title? Do you think he is perhaps a world champion in waiting?
Oh, that's a big question. So I think you know what, I'm actually going to say yes to that question. I'm going to start straight off with yes. Again, it would kind of depend. He's only 26 years old, so time in a way is on his side. But looking at those champions, yeah, I mean, we can run through a few of them, I suppose, in a minute of how we think he fares. But I think there's a genuine possibility that he would beat someone like Rolly Romero, frankly. We've talked about Rolly Romero previously. I think if you look at the general sort of state of that division as well, obviously you've got the likes of Taylor, Prograis, and those guys kicking around as well, but not necessarily like as fresh, obviously, as Hitchens. So I think, to be honest with you, with he bides his time, not 2024, but I definitely think there's if the belts fracture a bit and with whatever happens with Lopez as well, he may fight for a vacant. I definitely think that at some point he could pick up a world title. Yeah, and I'm actually leaning more towards that being likely than unlikely.
Yeah, I totally agree, mate. I think it's a stacked division, yes. But depending on what happens in Haney Garcia, will that belt become vacant after that? A whole lot. You're always having fighters who are just moving up and down the weights as well. But yeah, I think Richardson Hitchins will become world champion. He's still a young pup at 26. Let's be honest. You know, Even if he's not to fight for a world title for another year or 18 months, still do believe he has what it takes to go all the way and lift that coveted world title. Yeah, so I definitely do see that being a possibility. It could be even be against someone like Dalton Smith. They've obviously got that Jose Zepeda victory last time out now in common. Hitchens outboxing him, basically winning every round to a 12 round unanimous decision. Dalton Smith then fighting Zepeda after the next fight after that. A lot of people maybe thinking Zepeda was going to do Dalton Smith, including you, if I'm not mistaken, actually,
Yeah,
Elliot. But Dalton Smith obviously then got the knockout. So then, is that a fight for the future? Hitchins against Dalton Smith. Could we see that for a vacant title down the line? Who knows? Who knows? There's so many questions in this division, and you know what? I think we're in for a treat over the next few years in this division. 140 pounds, super lightweight, absolutely fantastic division, stacked from head to toe. Lots of young talent, and as well, kind of maybe the old guard too. But yeah, it's a division I'm excited about, and Richardson Hitchins is definitely a name that's probably going to be quite highly touted and spoken about pretty frequently at the upper echelons of that division. Looking at this fight though, Elliot, we always do like to, go into the more pressing questions about, let's say, the A side, which Richardson Hitchins is. They're both undefeated. Um, what way do you see this one going? Do you give Gustavo Daniel Lemos a shout here? We obviously saw him knock out Lee Selby like 2 years ago now. How do you see this playing out, or do you think that Richardson Hitchins has too much for Lemos? What's your head? Where's your head at for this one?
You know what, man? I don't mind this as a fight, actually. I really don't. I think, like you said, Lemos undefeated, 29-0 with 19 KOs. Argentinian, 28 years old as well. And like those guys from that region as well, from South America in that way, they come to fight. So for me, this is actually going to come to win. It's not a case of coming there to roll over. The thing for me really is looking at it. I mean, Hitchens, very smooth boxer, like I said, not the most powerful of punchers either to the young guy. So for me, I actually see it going. I know that Hitchens is obviously a big betting favourite in this fight as well. And to be honest with you, can't look beyond that either. And I think it's going to be Hitchens UD, to be perfectly honest with you. I can't see him actually stopping Lemos. Guy, like I say, has not been stopped before, not been defeated before. I don't see him hitting as hard enough to be able to do that, frankly. So I see, for me, the money really being on Hitchens points. But I just want to pick up, obviously, you threw some shade there, and me obviously for my Cepeda prediction. I just want my Albanian friends, if they are watching still, to maybe reference in the comments your Congo Marco prediction as well and come to my aid there. But I think, Paul, do you agree? Or do you disagree with me on this one? Do you think Hitchens points is the way to go, or do you think that Lemos could again spring the upset like he did against Selby, who at the time, people thought Selby was going to prevail, didn't they, in that fight as well? That was another upset. Do you think he could spring one here as well?
There's a few variables here, mate, and first and foremost, I agree with you. I think Richardson Hitchins will be too strong for Lemos here. Few different reasons. 29-0 looks fantastic. 19 knockouts looks like a reasonably big puncher, but you can't get over like I knocked out Lee Selby, who was a world class fighter, albeit down in the lower weight divisions before moving up a couple. But he's never fought outside of Argentina. Lemos, read into that what you will. Quite a lot of journeymen on the record, fighters you've never heard of. So what level has he built that record up to? Whereas Richardson Hitchins, you saw the Jose Zepeda victory last time out. Okay, maybe hasn't aged as well as he would have liked with Dalton Smith stopping him, but he won every round. He completely outboxed Zepeda. I think he could do the same here against Lemos, but I'm actually going to disagree slightly. I think, although he's not a massive puncher, I do agree. I could see Hitchens forcing the stoppage here. I just think he'll be landing too frequently on Lemos, and whether or not it's not going to say it's a conclusive concussive knockout, but I could see Lemos maybe no massing it in the corner or getting pulled out. Probably in the second half of the fight down the stretch, Hitchens has maybe won every single round. And yeah, Lemos is just like, I can't win this fight in the mid corner, maybe pull him out. Or he does get stopped on his feet or something. That's how I ultimately see this fight playing out. But yeah, it is a good fight. Despite maybe not having the name value, it is a good fight on paper, undefeated against undefeated. And yeah, we'll be talking about Richardson Hitchins as being one of the best fighters in the super lightweight division in the months and years to come. Who knows? Guys, let us know your thoughts in the comments as how this fight goes. Do you favour Richardson Hitchins heavily here? Does he win via knockout or stoppage? How do you see it playing out? Or does the Argentinian pull off yet another upset? All that's left for me to say is, Elliot, thanks for your time as always, mate. Guys, thanks for watching, and I'll speak to you again soon.
Hey, mate, as always, thanks for watching, guys.